Mark Rogers TV continuing to wrap up a National Signing Day. We talk Yukon football and go to the American Athletic Conference with Aman at Kidwai of the Yukon blog to talk about what is generally about the 98th recruiting class in the country, something in that range. Aman, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely, Mark. Thanks for having me.
So I'll run down the numbers. 21 commits. Again, I've got the 96th or 98th rated class, 4 3-star commits there that have signed, and got about a lot of players there from New York and New Jersey in particular. Can you give us your overall impressions of the class?
Yeah, absolutely. From a rating standpoint, I would say, and by the way, this is our new head coach, Bob Diaco's first full recruiting class, for the record. So he was hired December 2013, kind of put some things together for the National Signing Day 2014. This was his first full recruiting cycle as the UConn head coach. So from a rating standpoint, it looked like it was about the same compared to his predecessors. What I think the difference was, well, first of all, like you mentioned, a lot of recruits from New York and New Jersey. Bob Diaco is from New Jersey, so he has some ties there. New Jersey is obviously a talent-rich state, so that's good. The theme for the class was size. So while the ratings were similar for the players in previous recruiting classes, I think the upside is a lot higher. So rather than taking, a 2-star linebacker who's, let me do a better example. Rather than taking a 2-star offensive tackle who's, 6'4" or something like that, we're bringing in 6'7", 260-pound former basketball players who are maybe only 2 or 3 years into playing football, and hoping that we can get them to add pounds, get them to work on their technique, and then they can be, prototypical tackle kind of players. And you see that across the recruiting class. It's in the press conference afterwards, Bob Diaco said that the average height of the class was actually 6'4", and for a group of 21, 22, that's huge. We brought in a bunch of tight ends, 6'6", 6'7" guys. Some of those might move to tackle after putting on 20 or 30 pounds. And we've brought in some defenders and some playmakers on offense as well. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm intrigued by Bob Diaco's approach. And, it's obviously, as with any recruiting class, we'll wait and see how it pans out.
Especially early on in the process, and this being, as you mentioned, his first full recruiting session. You sometimes have to trust until you're proven otherwise. You have to trust the process, trust the coach. And the recruiting rankings, we obviously know, mean something. They mean quite a bit when you talk about 20 and 22 commits and the conference championship contenders year in, year out, and national championship contenders are lined up in those recruiting rankings up near the top. So there's no question it matters. I think the further you go down that list, though, the less it matters, the less accurate it is through the years, and you have to trust that that particular head coach and coaching staff knows what they need, and especially early in building a program. Looking at whatever tape you've been exposed to and been able to see, and the reports that you've gotten, who are some of those guys that you're anxious to see on the field?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few. One is quarterback from New York, Tyler Davis. Believe he was one of the 3-star recruits on Rivals, if that's who you're going by. So he actually enrolled early, so he's on campus already, and he is a dual threat. He's about 6'4". He can run the ball very well and throw the ball very well. I think he has a chance when you just think about obviously how important the quarterback position is, and the fact that he was kind of their primary target for the class. I think he's a player we're really excited about. I've actually had a chance to speak with him. Seems like a great kid, great head on his shoulders, a lot of leadership potential, and I think he's also, something that he's doing is taking the initiative on his own on the recruiting trail. So he's always tweeting at other recruits. He's giving other guys who made visits calls. So I'm excited to see how he develops. Another one, and actually also Tyler Davis was he was one of the first commits. So the first weekend that we got verbal commitments back in June, he was part of like this wave of 3 or 4 in one weekend that we got. Another one of the guys from that wave is a 3-star defensive tackle from Pennsylvania, Kevin Murphy, who actually won senior defensive MVP from Rivals. So he's a space-eating nose guard, hardworking guy, stands out on film as just kind of destroying the middle of an offensive line. Um, Also, again, I notice and see and have heard a lot about his leadership traits. So he's a player we're very excited about. And then there's a couple of guys who I think actually have a shot. Those are guys who, the D tackle, the quarterback. I'm very excited for them. I don't know how much playing time they'll get early on. In terms of people who might see playing time early on, I think there's 2 wide receivers, Hergy Mayala and Tyraiq Beals, who are actually not huge, which in this recruiting class stands out and makes me believe that maybe they have a shot as a punt returner, as a slot receiver, in some capacity to be a contributor in the early going. And then there's a 3-star. The last one is a 3-star cornerback, Aaron Garland, who I think has a shot to play early. My thinking behind that is that he's a highly rated recruit from outside of our footprint. So I imagine that there was something enticing about coming to UConn for him because he had offers from all across the MAC, from schools across the country. He had the Big Ten kicking the tires, and UConn just got in early. And I'm guessing told him he had a shot to earn some early playing time, and so I think he might be able to see the field early on as well.
Okay, so you partially answered my question, if not fully. The next one in regards to Aman looking at the 2014 Huskies and then converting that and transitioning what you saw on the field last year and knowing the personnel and the depth chart and then looking ahead to 2015. I think you nailed it in a lot of areas in regards to who's got a shot at playing next season. So I'll kind of morph this question into that one. If there's anybody else you'd like to talk about in regards to that, and just what positional needs are you concerned about this coming fall and need to see some headway this spring?
Yeah, so it's interesting. As far as UConn, the football team, the weaknesses were very clear: offensive line and quarterback. And I think the nature of the game is just that, unless we sign some 5-star guy, which is not going to happen, the odds of getting an impact freshman for us at those positions, I think, is low. So I think we're not expecting any sort of immediate impact in those areas that are of most importance for the team next year.
All right, Aman Kidwai joins us from the UConn blog on the SB Nation platform for UConn Athletics. No, it's basketball season, but he's taking a little time out to talk some football recruiting. Aman, thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully we get more than 3 wins this fall and we can talk some UConn football.
That sounds great. Thank you very much.